We are on the verge of a water crisis. Our world needs to be educated on what is happening to our aquatic ecosystems.
To start, let us first talk about the biogeochemical cycle, in which in this case, the water cycle, and it's linked to the ecological reservoir as well as the environment's steady state. The quantity of material in a particular Earth system is called the reservoir. So in the context of the water cycle, most of the water on Earth is preserved in the oceans, on the ground, and ice for a long period of time. So the Earth's water is locked in these reservoirs, on the ground, and in the ocean. And so the water cycles slowly. And only surface water can evaporate quickly. So in order for us to know what is environment steady state, we must first know what is flux and what is source. The flux is the amount of material transferred from one reservoir to the other, whereas the source is the amount of material brought into a reservoir. It is in a steady state when both source and flux are balanced, and the amount of material in the reservoir remains constant. So even slight deviations from that might cause major hydrological issues. When the amount of water discharged by continents exceeds the amount of water supplied by precipitation, continents lose water, and desertification occurs. And that could be a huge problem if these hydrological issues can't be solved.
This guy is very stressed. And did you know that our environment can be stressed like him? Let me tell you how.
This effect can be caused by anthropogenic effect. Anthropogenic effects, processes, objects, or materials are those that are derived from human activities as opposed to those occurring in natural environments without human influences. Stress in water can appear in several ways, such as turbidity, hardness, and pH level that can affect the water quality when one of these did not meet the normal range. Also, human activities can contribute to this stress, examples of which are industrial wastes, improper segregation, just like this one, and overuse of fertilizers, which can lead to eutrophication.
So how can this drinkable water turn into this type of dirty water? Let me discuss to you Lee Chatter's principle. In the year 1884, the French chemical engineer and teacher Henry Lee Chatelier, this guy right here, showed that in every such case, the new equilibrium state is one that partially reduces the effect of change that brought it about. If a system at equilibrium is subjected to a change of pressure, temperature, or number of moles of a component, there will be a tendency for a net reaction in the direction that reduces the effect of this change. Lee Chatter's principle states that if a dynamic equilibrium is distributed by changing the conditions, the position of equilibrium shifts to counteract change to re-establish equilibrium.
Invasive species are organisms that cause ecological or economic harm in a new environment where it is not native. These are capable of causing extinctions of native plants and animals, reducing biodiversity, competing with native organisms for limited resources, and altering habitats. Invasive species in water includes plants, animals, and other organisms. This is alarming as it is a threat to the whole ecosystem function, the water quality, and of course to the native fish and the wildlife species. Aquatic invasive species can degrade the water quality by increasing turbidity, concentrating toxins, and altering nutrient and energy flows within the food web. But Gladly, there are a lot of small ways to make a big difference to prevent the spread of invasive species, and we must be one in this issue. Number 1. Use native bait in fishing. People often use worms or fish as bait when they fish in the ocean or rivers. The thing is, those can form invasive species, so if it is possible, seek out for native bait. And of course, when you're finished fishing, Do not dump your bait into the water. Number 2. Clean your boat before you transfer to a new body of water. The sides and bottom of the boats can carry aquatic invasive species such as the different types of algae. So, make sure to wash your boat before taking it from one body of water to another, as to not spread any unwanted invasives. Number 3. If you ever see an invasive species, report it. The DENR, BMB, or the Department of Environment and Natural Resources Biodiversity Management monitors invasive species in the Philippines. So to help prevent this spread, let us report to the DENR if we ever see one. Number 4, be aware of the invasive species within your area and spread awareness. We can educate each other regarding this serious matter by simply making them aware of how invasive species threaten us. Number 5, if it is possible, let's plant native species. Native species are our best natural defense against the invasive species. They require less water, they save time and money, and provide vital habitat for our pollinators. Number 6, if you can, let's volunteer. If you have an extra time, you can do your part by volunteering at a local removal effort or by simply taking the time to pluck the invasives that you see.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, epigenetics is a study of how your behavior and environment would impact how your genes function. It is described as the study of heritable changes in gene expression that a change in DNA sequence. There are two kinds of epigenetic modification: DNA methylation and histone modification. DNA methylation involves enzymes adding a methyl group to cytosine bases in DNA. This epigenetic modification may lead to genetic diseases, such as, but not limited to, cancer, nervous system disorders, and cardiovascular diseases. Histone modification, on the other hand, is a process for changing chromatin structure and gene activity. An example of epigenetic modification in aquatic animals is that of phenotypic plasticity, in which the genes of aquatic animals and plants, and refers to some of changes in an organism's behavior, morphology, and physiology in response to a unique environment.